All right, so we're here with BD White and super excited to be interviewing him and in his studio at this moment. BD was one of the artists that contributed to Little Red and Vandal Wolf, and his work is amazing. And we're going to get to see some of it today in his studio and get to chat with him and a little bit about his work and his style and his process. So starting with your signature style and stenciling process, your multi-layer stencils are incredibly detailed. What does your creative process look like from concept to final wall or canvas? And how do you maintain such an emotional depth in your work?
Well, first I come up with like kind of like a theme of what I want to make, um, and it all starts on the computer, and I'll do it in 3D first, and I like model the astronaut in 3D, and then kind of pose it and how I want it, and then it goes into Photoshop, and it all gets, and I break it down to like layers and different colors, and then I have to vectorize that, and that goes into Illustrator, and then that gets broken down into individual layers, and you gotta like, it's a lot of computer work. It's not super fun or interesting really. It's a lot of like computer and file work until finally, once the files are done, then I can send them to get cut out, and then I get to paint it after that. Yeah.
Wow. No, that is an interesting way to hear about it because I didn't really know what your process was. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. But to know, because a lot of people see work and they're always intrigued by it and they love it, but they think, oh, would I ever as an artist be able to try to even attempt something like this? So to hear your process is really interesting. How do you think that you keep the emotional depth in it? Where in the process does that come into play?
I think that's probably comes into play at the very beginning, just in the theme that I want to kind of evoke, or in the message I kind of want to say in the painting, So from that point, I try to like just think of like a pose, or you know, sometimes it would be the astronaut and a woman together, to try to convey the message or the emotional depth to it. But really, I've always kind of wanted it to be like, I wanted the viewer to be able to pull the meaning from it themselves rather than me telling what it's supposed to mean exactly. I wanted people to be able to look at the paintings and kind of equate it to their own life and their own experiences, kind of the way when you listen to like music, how the lyrics and stuff that you're listening to, you're never really thinking of, I wonder what this meant to the artist when he wrote it or when they wrote it. It's more about how the lyrics are talking to you and your experiences in your life and what you're going through. And I kind of wanted my work to, be in a similar kind of vein.
Oh, I think it does. Yeah, because everybody who sees it, it's going to bring out something different in them. The recurring astronaut in your work is striking. What led you to that motif, and how do you use it to explore themes like isolation, longing, or connection?
I started using the astronaut back in, was it 2017, I think? 2016? Really because I really like figurative works and like portraits and stuff, but I didn't want to really paint faces because I'd always kind of felt that it's easier to like to oh, let me rephrase that. I always thought people to like buy work, if it's of someone, they always kind of felt like they needed to know who that person was, and I didn't want it to be about an individual. So the astronaut was a way of it being a figurative work that's completely covered. So the face is not shown, so you don't know who's under the mask or who's there. So you can just put anyone into that, slot anyone into that spot.
Wow. How do you use it to explore? Because I know I've talked to you about this and I've read it, that some of the themes that you have used are isolation, longing, or connection. Do you think because there's
Yes,
no
yeah.
face behind, or we put the face behind there, that adds to that sense, right?
Well, the astronaut kind of can help. I liked it because it was able to represent like a bunch of different things, you know, because it was able to represent like kind of isolation and like loneliness, because, you know, alone and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it could also represent the complete opposite of that, where it's like triumph, or like, you know, the best of the best. So it can feel like exploration, like surmounting like a giant obstacle, but at the same time it can be loneliness and isolation. And I liked the duality that it could bring, and really I just like that you could kind of slot whatever you were feeling into the character, to try to pull emotion from it that way.
Ah, it's brilliant. So, mindful vandalism.
That's what I call my street art.
Yeah, so you've used this phrase many times to describe your work. What does that mean to you, your street art, and how do you think it challenges the way people perceive street art?
Well, I use that to describe what I did in the street as kind of a play on, you know, mindless vandalism. You know, that saying that, you know, because I put a lot of like work and effort and thought into what I did on the street.
Yeah.
So that's why I just called it mindful vandalism. So I thought it was funny.
It is funny and it
really
is thoughtful, yeah, because it's not like everything that we see of your work when we pass by on the streets, especially all of the ones at the bottom of lampposts were the ones that we spoke about probably to people the most. We love those so much.
They're still persisting a decade later.
Yeah, we just passed by one. We love it. So that work is like the type of work that it's so beautiful when you look at it. It is the opposite of exactly just like tagging on something. You're putting out something wonderful for people to brighten their day, hopefully.
Yeah, it's technically still vandalism. So, but it's mindful.
They get you on a technicality, right? These people. Influences and evolution. So, from your earlier inspirations like Shepard Fairey to your current work, how has your style evolved? And what continues to push your art forward?
I think it's evolved just because I've tried to keep pushing myself and trying new things. So when I was doing all the stencil work, I wanted to, you know, because when I first started doing stencils, it was in the street. It was very simple work, you know, like a single layer, a couple layers, and then
still complicated though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it was more complicated than the normal stencil on the street.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
But when I got into the studio and wanted to do stencil work on canvas, I wanted to really push the medium and just kind of see how far I could take it. And so that's why I did, like I ended up doing like a couple hundred layers, I think, for like one of the paintings from the show from 2019. And so that was, to me, I took it to as far as I could. And then I wanted to, once I did that, I wanted to try some other forms, you know, so I've started oil painting again, doing stuff that way, and I did some works of like astronauts like breaking apart, and I did some, like I made like a mirror piece with an astronaut, so I'm always trying to like just try new things, to just keep evolving the medium, keep evolving what I'm doing.
And this work over here is kind of new, right? Your motion work there, is that fairly new? I mean, I remember seeing the posts when you were starting to kind of move into like the motion and animation, but it's fairly not like years and years old, but it's.
Oh no, yeah, it's that all of that came from the pandemic. Yeah.
Can you talk about it a little bit? It's so cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Can't take my eyes off of it. It's amazing.
They the NFTs they became pretty popular, you know, during the pandemic, and I was lucky enough that I got asked to do it before anyone knew what they were. I didn't know what they were at all.
Yeah.
They kind of like convinced me that, you know, no people would want these things. So
yeah.
yeah, so I spent 6 months learning how to animate. 3D model and animate.
That's pretty good for only 6 months. Like, wow.
Thanks.
So you did it on Maya?
3ds Max.
3ds Max.
Same company, it's Autodesk, but I didn't learn Maya because I had already knew 3ds Max, like how to pose character, because that's how I'd always make my reference photos with the astronaut. I had an astronaut model and I could pose it, I could render that out, and I could manipulate in Photoshop and make the reference photo that I could then make the drawings and paintings from. So I had that little bit of knowledge base when it came to that, but I hadn't animated anything before. Or really kind of like done like backgrounds or like any other kind of objects in the scene. I'd always just done a singular astronaut character. The renders before that I used for my reference photos are very, very different looking in quality wise as compared to what I do for these.
Is that a collab? Is that somebody in the background?
Yes, JPO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I use JP's image for the water.
And it says light, darkness, and what's the side say?
It says get away from the darkness, get away from the light.
Oh. We don't get too close to the light either. Why do we want to get away from the light?
It was like all this stuff was kind of during COVID, and so it was all about like isolation and like feeling like you're going stir crazy or
Yeah.
So I had a bunch like that, and I should have. I don't know. There was this one too.
I love that black and white one too. By the way, that's amazing.
Let me see if I can plug this back. There's the other NFT kind of one about isolation and versus attention.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It slowly fills away.
So for artists that hit roadblocks, how do you handle creative challenges yourself, or moments when the vision that you wanted to come to light isn't coming together, if that ever happens? I mean, your work looks all amazing to me, so I can't imagine that happening to you, but I'm sure you've had moments where you felt like, ugh.
Sure. I mean, I've painted stuff that I did not like, and then I just don't show anyone that.
Yeah.
That's what happens to it, and I move on. And I go, oh, that didn't come out well. Next one.
Well, what about roadblocks? Are there any like where you're like, oh, I'm trying something new, or I want to? Did you have roadblocks that you moved into when you were doing any of this new moving work?
Sure. Yes. Yes. The NFT. I mean, for me personally, because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to the NFTs and the digital stuff. Like it's all new, right? So I was learning everything. So it was just constant problems and frustrations and trying to figure out why something is doing something when I don't understand why. And yeah, so it's always constant problem solving. And the stencils were the same way when they were just so many layers and trying to get so detailed with it, because you try to get these little tiny details that either wouldn't cut out or they'd be too small that spray paint wouldn't even like go through the holes and get to them. And so there's just lots of stuff like that.
I can't even imagine layering up. You said you're the one that you layered in 2019 was how many layers?
I think the most I did was a couple hundred layers, like maybe a little over, like 200 and change, 220, something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
How long does something like that take?
It took a very long time.
Like months and months and months, or like a year?
Months and months and months. Yeah, it's hard to gauge exactly because I was working on multiple at the same time. Because that was when I was preparing for the show.
Right.
And so I was making like 10 pieces at once. So I in the way I did it is I would make all the drawings first, and then get all of the stencils. So all the computer stuff would happen at first. So I wouldn't be working on one painting from start to finish.
Right.
So it's hard to gauge exactly how long everything took when it came to that.
But when you're preparing for a show, you really have to have at least a full year, right?
Oh yeah. Yes,
More?
that show took like 2 years.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's a lot of work. Yeah. So just to talk about Little Red and Vandal Wolf, I'm so excited that you're a part of it.
Yeah, I'm part of it.
Hey, do you mind holding it?
Of course.
I'm just like super excited to have you part of the book, and maybe we can flip to your piece on that.
Sure.
Just ask a couple questions for our young readers that will get to see this. So street art is often seen as bold and rebellious. How do you approach making your work resonate with a younger audience? Or have you ever thought about it resonating with the younger audience, since especially now it's in this context of the book, you know?
This is the first younger audience. This is the first one that's been geared towards younger audiences. I did one thing a while ago that was like for a coloring book, but it was like an adult coloring book, so it wasn't really geared for younger audiences or kids. So yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, I had this work in a video game. That's kind of younger audiences.
There you go. You had that piece in a video game?
Yeah.
Like, okay, how did that work? You can close it.
It was a Need for Speed video game. So It's like a car racing game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And so how did the astronaut fit into it?
They had a street art theme. That's one of the things. They got a bunch of street arts.
Oh,
street
so
artists,
like they had the backgrounds in there, and they were driving by the walls.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think like one of the like side or collectibles or something, right? Where you could like drive around and take photos of all the street art or something to like get like some trophy or whatever in the game, like some achievement in the game. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
It was really
so
nice.
this is your first time.
This is the first time for
connecting
sure.
really with a younger audience
that
will be able to see it. So your work to me is very deep, and I think that like you said, everyone can look at it and find something different. But how do you think your work will? The complexity behind your work, how do you think it's going to resonate with children, or what would you hope for children to connect with when they see your work?
I mean, kids like astronauts, right?
Yeah.
So.
Space, NASA, science.
I don't know. I wish I had a better answer.
No, you don't have that. That's a great answer. You know. So now that the world is opening back up, and I know it must have been hard for a lot of artists, you know, it's like you need your work to be seen, to be able to connect with people and to survive as an artist and thrive as an artist. And now that it is opening back up, and I think New York it took longer than a lot of us expected, and it's still kind of coming back. What would you like to be doing? Like, what are your hopes and dreams for your future as an artist?
I would, hope to get back to doing shows again. It's been a while since I had a solo show, so I would like to be, getting back to doing that, to making, a body of work that follows a theme and having shows again. So, I'm happy to be part of the group show.
Thank you.
So part of that, this is the first time I've shown anything, and since 2019.
Wow.
So it's been a while, yeah.
I didn't realize that. But you were doing the NFT, so your work was being seen quite a bit that way. But being out, it's different than being out in the galleries.
I think so, yeah, big time.
Okay, well, we hope that we can help in some small way, get you back to where you were, because we have been fans since all the work on the street. That's when we first started seeing all of your work out there on the bottoms of light poles, and then some nice, big, beautiful murals that you did. And we've been a fan for a long time.
I mean, you guys were responsible for me even getting into a gallery, so.
Well, we love
because you guys did the Kimmel windows,
the
Kimmel windows, right? Yeah. It was doing that got the attention of the Castle Fitzjohn's gallery, so.
Good. Yeah. Well, we hopefully can help you get some more attention. You deserve lots of attention. You're like so freaking talented. It's crazy.
Thank you.